All right. So now that we are done talking about objects, I'm sure you understand what it is. So I'm sorry for the previous video, the voice stopped at some place. So you may have to watch that extra 10 minutes without voice. But from what I did, it's quite clear, even if you're just watching without voice. So I'm sorry, I apologize for that. So we're gonna, now we're done with objects, we're gonna do models, packages, and import. So models, packages, and import. All right. So let me create models, packages, and import. Let me just create mpki.py. Models, short for models, packages, and imports. Yep. So in this one, what we're going to look at, is so what is a model in Python, or a package, or import? So a model or a package is code written by someone else or yourself that can be used by you or other programmers, right? So that's what a model or package is. Right. So with all that we are doing, we've not really used model or packages, but some of the things that we are writing, we are doing, you realize that we didn't write code for that, but we are using them, right? We are using certain functions that we didn't write code for that we are using, right? These are things that the creators of Python has already put into Python, so we can use them directly, right? But also, what if other people want to write their own code such that other Python programmers can use it? For instance, maybe I can write my code and then you can use it, right? So to do that, one nice way of doing that is writing a package or a model. Okay, so that's one nice way of doing it. Now if I want to use a package, so let me just go through like some examples of some packages. So in Python, right, for instance, we have a lot of packages that comes with Python. Like when you install Python, those packages also come with it directly, right? And a lot of them are here, right? We have the date, time, calendar, collections, what. These are all packages that come with Python, and they all do something specific. Okay, for instance, if I look at this date time guy, what this date time guy does is to allow you to get the time, like, you know, manipulate time, right? So you can get the time for today or time for yesterday. You can find the difference between 2 days or those kind of things, you know. Like numbers or maths allows you to have access to maths functions, right? So if I go to the maths library, you can see that you have maths.sil. So if I use the maths package, right? So in Python, to use a package, we call it import, right? So that's what this is. So to use a package, to use models and packages in your code, you must import them. This is just a fancy way of saying include them into your code, or add them to your code, or call them into your code, right? So because these models and packages allow you to do certain interesting stuff, to use them, you have to import them. So for instance, let me just start an example with a maths package. So right, so I want to use maths package. So what do? I'll do something like import maths, right? Import maths, and that's it. I have the maths package, and now I can do certain things that are in the maths package. So right now, if I'm looking at the documentation right now, is here. They say have maths.sil, return the ceiling of x, the smallest integer greater than or equal to x, something like that. So let me see, let's look at something that we can do. Okay, let's look at the log, right? So if I want to find create math.log. So in Python itself, you not find maybe the log function. We all know what the log function does. We not find the log function in Python itself, unless you import, right? Without importing the maths package, you can't use it. And this maths package has already been installed the moment you install your Python code, right? The moment you install Python on your PC. So if I do that, if I say log 10, it's giving me 2 what. And it's a log comma base, right? So I think the base is rather, if I do it in base 10, this will give me 2, right? Log 100 of base 10 is 2, right? But I can't do this without using what? The maths package. Okay, so this package comes with Python directly. And if I want to do like maybe raise to the power something, I can use the maths package to do that. Say maths.pow, and you see maybe 3 raised to the power 2. We all know it's 9, right? So the first element is the base, and this one is the index, or the one on the ground, and this one is a, so it means 3 raised to the power 2, n raised to the power x, x raised to the power y, right? So square root, if I want to find the square root of something, I said maths.qrt, maybe 4 square root of 4. We know the answer is what? 2, right? So I could do this. Maybe I can write some code to do it, but you know, this has already been done, so I can just import the package and do it. And this is quite good because there are a lot of things that you do that you not write the code yourself. You just import the package that someone has written, or Python, that comes with Python, and you use it to do that, right? And there are a lot of math things here. So another thing I want us to look at is the date time package. So what is the date time package? So the date time package, so if you can think of a package, right, as containing a lot of code that someone has written, right? And the package is usually in the form of a folder, right? So for instance, the date time package is a folder, and the code is stored somewhere on your PC. If you install Python, it is already stored somewhere. And so you can say I want to import date time, right? And then it will bring it into your code that you're using, and then you can use it in your code, right? Okay, so the date time package contains a lot of things, right? So it's like, for instance, from here you can see from date time import time delta, right? So for instance, one thing about import, right? So for instance, we've seen that the math thing has square root and all of that. But what if I don't want always to type math.sqrt, math.something, right? So this dot, you remember that it looks exactly, or it kind of looks like what we did with the object, right? But this is a package, it's not an object, right? So it's different from how this, but basically the idea is that this sqrt function is in math package, and so if I want to call it, I have to say math.sqrt, right? So I'm saying that the square root function in math package, right? Or I can import the square root function directly. So I can say from math. So I'm saying from the math package, I know that the SQL function is in math. Import sqrt. When I do this, then there's no need for me to do math.sqrt again. I can just go ahead and do sqrt, and then once I do that, I can just use it, right? So a package contains a lot of things, right? So one of those things is, for example, in the math package, one of those things is the sqrt, and that sqrt is basically a function, right? And the package can contain other packages, or what. So for instance, date time, what I wanted to get to here is the date. So I can import another package from date. So I can say import date time. So what this will do is to import all the date time package into my code, and then I can say print date time dot date dot today. Now date time package contains something called date, or it contains a function called date. It contains a function called date, right? And this function called date contains another package called date, and this package called date contains a function called today, or I would say contains a module called date, right? Because a module is one file, and a module contains a function, and then package a package is made up of other packages or models, right? So we'll go into that later. But basically, datetime contains something called date, and date contains something called today, right? So the today, I mean, it's exactly what it means today. It's going to give you today's date. So if I run this 2020-09-19, right? Today is 2020-09-19. All right, so datetime.today. So, but let's say the datetime also contains other things apart from date. It also contains something called time. So if I say print date time dot time dot now. Now is now, all right? Wait, did you say that didn't have anything called now? What do you have? And there's embarrassing. Okay. Let's look well into it. Oh, okay, sorry. So it have that one is in the time package. So what I wanted to do is rather in the time package we have a package also called time. So if I do import time, then I can say time dot. Oh, that one too doesn't have now. Not now. Oh, okay. Sorry. So we have it's rather date time dot now, I guess. And then when I do that, oh no, it's not date time dot now. Right, sometimes I forget certain things, so it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, it will come up sometime later. It's not that important. Just trying to use it to give a point. I'm sure there's dots now somewhere. Anyway, don't worry about it. So basically, that's a datetime package, right? Or if I don't want to type in this datetime dot date dot today is long, I can just do the same thing I did with math and say from datetime import date, right? And I can just use date directly and then just say something like that. Okay, so in Python there's a function called dir, and with this dir function, if you want to see what other functions can do, you can just use it, or what other packages can do, or what is in a package, you can just use dir of the package. So I want to see what is in the time package, so I can just print the dir of the package. And when you do that, you can see, oh, okay, these are the functions on it, right? Okay. So it has some interesting stuff that we'll come to later. So the time package actually can make your code sleep. Let me just do it. So let me just import time, right? Okay. Now let's say we want to write a for loop that will print a certain something, the time every 30 seconds. Okay. So we can get the time using the datetime dot now, and then when we get the time using the datetime dot now, This time. It's also, in fact, in daytime there's also another thing called daytime, and then that's what I really call to say dot now. Oh yeah, so that's where the dot now comes from. So the dot now actually prints the whole date and time and even milliseconds, you know. So it is it's 12:55 44 seconds, what milliseconds or something. So today's date and then the time, right? So from date time import date and date time, right? So date time contains another thing called date time, and that is where you get the dots now, right? Yeah. So that was the call of the whole thing. And then the time contains a function called sleep, and that function, you can use that function too. So for, let me see, let's write a while loop, and then do this while true. You know, a while loop continues to run as long as whatever I say is true. So when I say while true, meaning that this one will run forever, and this is what we call an infinite loop, right? There is a print. I want to print the time now. Just copy and paste. Art of programming is the art of copy and paste. All right, and I can say time dot sleep. And sleep, I can say inside here I need to pass how many seconds do I want it to sleep. Okay, so let me just say 30. So it will print the time. It will go when it enters the loop. First it will print the time, and to enter the loop it is print the time again. Then let's make it print the time after. No need to print this. So print the time, and then to wait for 30 seconds. That's the meaning of the sleep. So time, right? So let's see, 12:57:30. The next time it will print again, it will be 12:57 or 12:58, right? And then 12:58:30. So to print the time, sleep for 30 seconds. So all these models are in Python itself, and you can import them into your code to do interesting stuff for you. All right. So we wait for 30 seconds to print. It's 12:58, right? So let's leave it to run whilst we're going to look for that. So to use modules and packages in your code, you must import them. This is just a fancy way of saying include them in your code, or add them to your code, or call them in your code, right? So that's what we've done here. We've imported some packages. So these packages, it's nice, right? It's good to be importing packages. So you can't always write the code, all the code and everything. So as we are learning this to do Python, Django, and Flask, web development, you realize that Django is also a package, right? And Flask is a package. A lot of things we're going to use packages, and then the code we'll end up writing. We'll just make good use of this. So now it's 12:58:30, right? Exactly. This is good, isn't it? So let me just explain how. So I say modules and packages, but there's a little difference between them. So let me start with packages. Think of packages as a folders, right? A package is a folder, okay? And a folder can contain other folders, or it can contain a file, right? Now a module in Python is just a file, okay? And it is in the file that we have the code, right? So a package can contain several modules, right? Or it can even contain another package which contains other modules. You feel me? Yeah. Okay. So the module is a file. A file is a module, right? And a folder is a package, right? So think of it like that. So it is, all the code we're writing in them in the files, but as you can see, it is the folder just contains the files and what, but this folder can contain another folder, right? And we'll come to writing our own packages soon, but one thing you should notice that I have this thing here, init.py, right? So this init.py, no one has asked what it is. So if you want to create a package in Python, as I said, the package is a folder. So once you create a folder, then you have to put this thing here, this file here called init init_py. It has to be there before Python will recognize that, oh, okay, this is meant to be a package and not just a normal folder. So Python will recognize differentiate between a package and then a normal folder. A package is a folder that has the init.py in it, inside it, right? That's a package. And then the folder is just a folder. It doesn't contain any underscore something or whatever. Okay, so let's come to what we call the standard library. Oh yeah, so our code is still running. Let's forget it and let it run. So if we see while true, this means run forever actually. So Python itself already comes with code written by the creators of Python that we can use in our code. So the example is the date time package that we've used, the math, and then the time itself package, right? And so there are a lot of packages that comes with the Python itself, and this is what is referring to in Python as standard library. So when you hear something say like the Python standard library, this is the packages that the creators of Python have made themselves, right? And this one, they don't cover all the use cases, or they are just very like important things that you need to do certain other important things, right? So for instance, if starting from here, you see all these things are packages. For example, you look at the calendar guy here, you can import it and go and play around with it, and you see that, oh, this is how this guy looks. These are all packages. Some of them will go through them, some of them we won't. So for example, and they group them under the use, right? So these are packages for accessing, like manipulating files and directories, right? So these are packages, Python packages for doing that. These are Python packages for storing data. You have SQLite 3, you have Pickle, Shell, whatever, Masha, DBM. These are Python packages for dealing with zip files and all of that. So things are going to get interesting very soon. So we are going to next week like this, we are going to go through some of these packages, and we are going to see how they work, some of them. And then file format, we have CSV. You can open CSV files. Maybe today we'll go through this, hopefully. We have packages that deal with cryptographic and those things. We have packages that deal with the operating system, getting information from the operating system. We have packages that deal with multiprocessing, what interesting stuff. We have packages that deal with networking, right? We have packages that deal with interesting stuff like internet. They have a lot of packages. So this is what we call the Python standard library. In the Python standard library, they have all these packages there for you, right? So when you download Python or when you install Python on your packages, all these packages there are there for you. But of course, you soon realize that they don't cover all use cases in the world. You can't, if you want to do certain things, you have to end up writing a lot of code. And so one important thing that Python does is what we call the third-party libraries, right? So Python also allows you to use third-party libraries, and then we'll look at this into more details very soon. So let's just play with this CSV. So let me stop this. All right. So let's play around with this CSV package, right? So let's do some file manipulations. Let me teach you how to open files.py, right? Now to open a file is simple in Python actually. So what was this? Where we have built-in functions, right? Now to open a file, there's a built-in function called open, and these built-in functions, you don't need to import them, they are always in your code forever and ever. Amen. We call it open. When I click here, you see that it describes what this does, right? So this built-in function called open can be used to open a file, right? And all you need to do is to call it, and then you provide the name of the file, right? So for instance, let me create a file here called example.txt, maybe just a text file, and I said Python Django classes, right? So I've created a file and I've entered text in here. If I wanted to open that file, let me just create a variable and I say open, and then I provide the name of the file. So here example.txt, that's the name of the file, right? Now one thing you should notice that this file.py is in the same folder as example.txt, and so the name of the file is just example.txt, right? So if once I open the file, I say f, let me just print to get the content of the file. I just say f.read. Read allows us to get the content of the file. So let me clear this and let me run this code. Say print so Python 3 files.py. Python, right? So I didn't spell it well. Right? Let me clear this and run it again if you didn't see. And you see so the file here contains Python Django classes. So what this did is it opened the file, right? And then it read from it. Okay. Now we have another file here called readme.md. What if I want to read from this file? All right. So let me call it f2. So I just call the open function, and then I just need to provide the name of the file or the path. So on computers, what we call the file, like direct the path. It's like how do we get to the file, right? So I'm in this folder week 3, right? But the file is not in the same folder as week 3. It's in readme.md, right? So if you don't know about folders and paths and those things, don't worry. So since I'm in this folder, I want to get out of this folder, and right, I want to get out of it and come outside of it. Like, let me open it on the PC so that you see. All right, good. So the file, the code Python is in this folder, right? But I want to use it to open a file here, which means I need to tell Python where to find the file. So which means that I need to come out here and then get this guy, right? Now there are two ways of doing that. The first way is to use what we call the relative path. So what does that mean? If I do .. what it's telling Python is that come out of the current folder, right? So basically I'm in this folder, so come out, right? So it comes out, feel me? And then now that it has come out, the file is here, readme.md, isn't it? So come out and then readme.md, md. Okay, now I have the file, so I can print the content of the file, f.read, f2.read, and then when I run, You see it has printed it, right? So this first one is related to the first file. Good. The other way I can do this is to use something called the absolute path, right? So for instance, on Windows, maybe you say, okay, where is it? So let me bring the Windows here and explain to you, right? So for example, if I have my Windows here, and I'm going to my desktop, right? Maybe if I want to get the full absolute part of this, first of all, this is in which folder? Sorry, the C, and then I have to go to users, and maybe I want a file here, right? Document, something, right? So I have to tell, okay, the absolute part is what you're going to find if I do Control L. You see it here. So if I come here, let me do Control L. Oh, damn it. Interesting. Anyway, so no, don't close that. So the same thing that we're doing here. If I come here, you know, as in Django, and the file is here. If I do Control L, so I can see the whole. Alright. So this one is the absolute, meaning that we are using the full path to the file, starting from the root, our root directory. Just as I was saying, if you're in Windows, your root directory could be maybe the C folder or the D folder or whatever. It's up to you, right? But over here, we just say home SVK because this is that's the root directory. That's my root directory. If I come here, home, right? Home SBK. That's it. That's this place. Home SBK. This home SBK, and it's a repos. So you see that I'm talking about this guy. Repos. What is it? Repos. Good. And I'm talking about SVK. Yeah, open SVK. I'm talking about Python Django 20, and then readme.md. Right. So this one, when I run this, it's going to give me the content of this file, right? But usually we don't use this because it's not something you can find that simple. You can just, it's much simpler to use a relative thing. And very soon when we start to look at we start to look more into some of the third-party open source, the packages, right? We'll come into these packages and then we'll see how to use these packages to do a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, so that's how you can read a file, right? Okay, so let me comment all of these guys. Say F3. So I want to open a file that is not there already. So no file dot, let me call it a file.txt. So what will happen? Let me see. Let me just run this and see what happened. It's giving I said no such file or directory. Right? Okay. So let's go deep into this this file thing. So this file, this open function takes a second parameter, right? And it's called the mode. So when you open a file, you can read, you can do 3 things to it, right? Or maybe 4. But first of all, so let's talk about 3 things. Now you can read from the file, right? You can write. And you can append. So you can do these 3 things. So read from the file, that's what we've done. Write to a file, I mean, it just makes sense. So it is what it is. You are writing to the file, so you have something and you are putting things in the file. And then we have the last in append. So this append thing, what this append means is that like so the write, when you write to a file, it will replace what was already there, right? But if you say append, it will add it to what was already there. So they are kind of like they all do something to the file, they add something to the file, but append does not delete what was already there, right? So if you're opening a file, when we did open, we didn't specify this because the default one, Python by default says the read, right? So to say read, say R, right? And this is the default, so that means if you don't bring this there, Python assumes that we want to read from the file. And if you want to write, you say W. And then if you want to append, you just say A, right? All right. So let's say we want to write to the file. And when I open this, it didn't give me any error, but rather if you look here carefully, you can see that it created the file, right? So when you say you want to, when you tell Python that I want to open this file to write to it, if the file does not exist, it will create it automatically for you, which is good, right? And then once the file is running, so you can do that, and then you can say if you want to write to a file, say write, not write, right? And then you can put in something there. Thank you for creating this file. Stop. I'm gonna run it. So let me delete it, right? And let me run this code again. And when I open, I say, you see what we do? We creating this. I thank you for creating this file. So this is how you can open and write files. And then, so let me say, just after the read. So when I try to do the read, say unsupported operation, because I said I was opening, I want to write to this file. So if you choose that I want to write, that's if you use only the W, then you can't read from it. And if you use only the R, you can write to it. But there's another option that can let you combine both, right? So if I do something like maybe let me say RW, right? Or WR. Let's see that. So you say we must have exactly one. So if I want to have two, that's when I use. So when we read option, this is for reading. That's the default, as we've said. W is for writing. What for writing text mode. What we're interested in is the plus. So if I do W plus, I should be able to read and write from it, right? So if I just do anyway, so why is it that we are trying to read it and give me something empty? So let me just do f3.save here and see what happens. Close, sorry. Okay, so if you close, you can read. If you read, you write, you can what. Okay, so first of all, let's write, close. Good. Let's comment. Let's understand. Let's do f3.read. All right. And print What the heck? Oh, W plus. And then the R. And write to it. Oh, write to it first. And then I'm gonna read. So I've written to it. Alright, so this may seem like some kind of try and error here. So I get what we're trying to do. If I do R plus, you can read from it. And if you bring the plus, what it means is that then that you can do both read and write. Let me just change this to plus. So you can't use the plus alone, you have to either use it to W or W plus or what. Anyway, so when I do W plus, right, it means that I can write to the file and I also can read from the file. So let me do that. No. Okay. So text what. Alright, so that means if you do W plus you can read. Anyway, forgive me. Oh, we have a file here. Hello. Run my code. Oh yeah, I should be able to read. Right. So first of all, let me do this. So we'll write to the file. So now our file contains thank you for creating this file, and let's comment this one. Let's do R plus. Now to read the file. So when you bring the plus, that's what I wanted to confirm. You can read and write from it, right? So what I can do is that when you write to a file, you close the file, then open it again, right? And read from it. It's that simple. So clear, right, and then that'll work. So first write to it. So close it. When you close a file, when you want to use it again, you have to open it again, and it should always be closing your files, because the way the computer works, when you open a file and you're using it, that means no other program can open the file, right? So when you open it and you don't close it, the PC will not know that your operating system will not know that you've finished using the file, and so it will not allow any other one to use it. Meanwhile, you're not using it. You get me? So it's good to close the file, right? So that when you close it, the operating system will know you've closed the file, and then it will allow other programs to also read from the file or write to the file or something else. So yeah. So yeah, that's about files. And then I was saying something about CSV. Now we'll get into that later. So that's it for this one. See you in the next